Hello and welcome to the Metabolic Balance Stories podcast. This is where we share real stories and insights into the journey with personalized nutrition and metabolic balance. I'm Cherry Wills. I'm your host, and I am delighted to welcome Suzie Tonneson, who is a client who has done metabolic balance, and she's joining me to talk and share her journey. Suzie worked with the metabolic balance practitioner Sharon Carius in Brisbane, and it's wonderful to welcome you, Suzie. Hello.
Hello, hi. Nice to meet you.
It's lovely to meet you, and it's lovely that you're here sharing your story with us. Would you mind just letting us know, where was your health? What was the reason behind starting metabolic balance?
I started in January 24, just as I was turning 51. And I think my health journey for the last 10 years previous had been that myself and my husband had, taken quite good care of ourselves. We were eating kind of a paleo kind of lifestyle. So we were looking at protein as being a high part of our diet. But I think with all things, you get kind of stuck in a little bit of a slump of what you would normally eat and how you would eat. And I've always been a really strong believer that food is medicine, and that, that's the way to heal ourselves. But as I was getting in the perimenopause stage and that kind of thing, I was noticing that there was differences. Even though me and my husband were eating quite similarly, we there was differences in the way that I was reacting to the food compared to him. So I realized then it wasn't, especially in terms of menopause and that kind of thing, and the perimenopause symptoms, I wasn't really sort of getting the relief back from there. So, so we kind of like did our own kind of research online, followed our own kind of diets and that kind of thing. But really with that paleo focus, and we did quite a strict detox every year. So no coffee, no caffeine, no dairy for 3 months, no alcohol, and just eliminated. So we were just basically eating meat, vegetables, and berries, so for 3 months, and water. So we were going quite strict with it, and we felt great after the 3 months, but you can't sustain that in a normal everyday day-to-day life. But I was still getting symptoms.
So what were you getting? What symptoms are we talking about here?
I was getting quite bad joint pain. I have had early onset arthritis, so the joint pain in my knees were quite severe. I had a shoulder injury that didn't really seem to get much better, and I had to not go to Pilates for a while to let that rest. It was the menopausal symptoms such as hot flushes, feeling tired, not having that energy, not feeling awake when you were waking up in the morning, that kind of thing. Bloating, all those kind of things that come along. And after trying to do my own diet, and then I went to a local health shop and spoke to a, a, a naturopath that was there, and kind of just talked to her about the symptoms and try to do a few different things. And then we looked at food rather than supplements straight away. But then I found that that was not a program directly for me. It was a generalist program for people having generalist kind of symptoms.
Yeah. So this naturopath in this health food shop, she was just giving you sort of a general, probably Mediterranean style diet kind of thing.
Yeah, and then she had a group kind of food program. So you joined up for that. You would then and the recipes were great. There's still a couple of recipes that I still go for and I can reach for, so that's no problem. But it still wasn't actually fixing the issue. So then I heard about this program, but it was through a friend that we met at the pub, when we go and socialize and you're chatting and you're hanging out. And she was there and she goes, I've been doing this program. I'm so excited about it. And just telling us all about it, because we would often talk about food. We'd often talk about recipes, and we would be going home and we'd be making things, because we generally wouldn't eat out. We're not the kind of couple that eats out, because we get so disappointed with food when you go out and you don't know what's in the food. So we're kind of we like to prepare our own because we know what's actually in it. So from just talking to her, she was telling me about the program.
So this lady in the pub was telling you about metabolic balance. That's what she was doing. Yeah.
Yes, and she was going through the program, and from her experience, from seeing firsthand the transformation in her, she was by no means overweight. It was more a holistic kind of wanting to feel great, wanting to feel me again type of thing. And I think that resonated with me. It's just like you feel like you've lost yourself and you just don't feel yourself. And I think she was able to balance, because she'd been through the program. She was in that part of the program where you're in maintenance kind of thing. You're living your life, you're experimenting, you're doing things, you're able to manage alcohol because you can bring it in at that stage, so she'll be having a little bit of protein by having some almonds and having water in between. And I was just like curious to see how it was working and how she was balancing it out. So then I made an appointment and got to see Sharon. And and then from there, I think I saw her in the November before I started the program in January. So I wanted to start the year really fresh and know what I was going in for. So, but yeah, I've absolutely enjoyed every step of the program. It's been like a year and a half or year and a quarter now. And I've just found it super easy. I mean, that's the thing. I think it's been easy. The food is so, you can make it as complex or as easy as you want it to be.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
Yeah. So I think and understanding the science behind it and the way it works. But for me, I mean, I could go in depth about the program and what I had in it and this and the other. But for me, as part of that program was the number of visits that you have with your coach. I think so you're not just left on your own. I felt really supported through the first couple of phases of that. And also I was able to track all my symptoms as part of that process. So I wasn't just kind of thinking, oh, I wonder if that's feeling better or that's got worse or whatever, rather than looking at it like 3 months down the track, because it's hard to remember how your journey has gone. But being able to do that and catch up with Sharon every couple of weeks as part of that was really like, okay, so you've really noticed a difference there, so that was really great. So for me personally, after being on the program for around 8 to 12 weeks, I had no more hot flushes, not a single one. So that completely removed all of that. I was my joint pain had almost gone. It was so much better. I was able to walk and enjoy walking a lot more, downhill or uphill. That's where it gets me. When I'm on a flat surface, it's absolutely no problem. But I was able to eliminate that. So I was feeling refreshed. I was feeling that the brain fog had lifted in the afternoons. I was able to, be as energized at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon as I would be working first thing in the morning. So for me, I was like, this is great. And then you just follow the rules and then you get the support when you want to travel. So I was going to Sri Lanka in November, and Sharon was so great because she gives you that, she coaches you and says, as long as, go and enjoy yourself, go and eat the food, go and so you're not like restricted on anything you want to do. It's just when you start to come back, you kind of go, well, I'm just going to go strict for 2 weeks. And then you kind of feel like you're going back on it. But I think mentally the habits start sticking, and then if I have a day, for example, I have to drink 2.5 liters of water a day. So if I don't set my day up properly and have at least a liter of that water by 9 o'clock in the morning, I feel like I'm going to have a bad day. So I have to start it off every day with like really simple things like that. But I get to enjoy a coffee with my breakfast. I've introduced interesting foods like camel milk that I wouldn't have had before. So people go, oh, camel milk. And we actually have a camel farm in just outside of Brisbane. So I was ordering my milk from there, which was fantastic. But at Christmas time, I actually took my parents were here from the UK visiting, and I said, "Let's go there. I want to go and I want to see where this milk comes from." So we went there and actually had a coffee at the camel farm. So that was fantastic. So yeah, I just found that the food plan and the recipes and the the rules, I suppose, around what you have to do when you need to do it were great. And my husband has done his yearly detox that he does. But what he's done is he's incorporated some of those rules around it. So not eating within, having a break of 5 hours in between your food, drinking lots of water, only water in between those times, and even just taking on those little things like trying just to have one protein per meal. He's been able to see a shift in his health, even though he hasn't followed it as strict as me, because obviously it has to be around portion sizes and things like that, that it's important. You shouldn't really give.
Yeah, and the specific foods for him, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
But in terms of my husband just being able to, I think, just understand where I was coming from, I think that's kind of helped. So he's done his own thing, not followed my food or anything like that. He's just eaten how he normally eats, but he's just incorporated the water and the fasting 5 hours in between. So that's been quite a nice part of that. But even just going through to the plan and the foods, like it's really as complicated as you want it to be. So if I've got my list of vegetables and my protein is, say, fish or prawns, then I'll just fry up some prawns in some ghee and then I'll have it over a salad. So there's nothing complex around that. No, so it's around how complex. It's not like you're going through a big whole recipe book and you're having to buy 50 different kinds of herbs and spices to go through it. It's actually makes cooking less stressful and it's actually quite economical to eat this way, because you can buy, go to the fishmongers, you can get like a big bag of prawns, or you can get a Sunday joint of meat, but you can then just separate it out so you can have that for your breakfasts. You can have, so you're actually a bit more economical with your food and how you want to put that all together. But yeah, no, that's a little bit around there.
I think what I'm fascinated again to possibly just talk a little bit more about, though, you, by the sounds of it, you were already eating pretty healthily, kind of thing. You actually already knew generally good dietary habits. Your husband and you were already doing some certain things that were, could really be said. You were educated and, trying your best. And yet it wasn't really working for you, that generalist approach.
Yeah, I think with that I think because this is tailored for you, so your bloods are taken.
Yeah, and that's what I think. It's interesting that a lot of people, it's kind of like maybe before if you hadn't sat and spoken to that lady in the pub, is probably what I'm thinking of here, and somebody had just said, okay, there's a healthy eating plan, it may have been that you think, oh, well, I already know how to do healthy eating. This is almost my norm. All the symptoms you were having, well, the arthritis, that just had to be, that was just that was unfortunately a sad diagnosis that you'd had. And the menopausal symptoms and the little bit of weight gain that you were sort of in the bloating. Well, that's just what happens in menopause. You've got to put up with it. This is all the stories that people are told, is it not? And you could easily have told that same story to yourself that, okay, I don't need to learn or do this program. But you didn't. You actually went, you saw Sharon, you got your personalized plan, and then you saw that what wasn't really working before, suddenly when you actually get all the boxes ticked and the right foods, it starts to really work in your body.
Yeah, I think it's because because you've got the science behind the reasons why you're doing it and the tailored plan as well, um, that your plan is going to be totally different from somebody else.
Were you surprised at the results you got and how quickly you got them?
Yeah, with the hot flushes, they disappeared very, very quickly. Like I'm talking a matter of weeks. Like a complete difference in there. And I know that stress causes in menopause. Stress is like one of those areas that it can come back, and it did come back. So it didn't eliminate it forever. So I think that's the thing, is that our bodies are always changing, our hormones levels are always changing. So for that moment, or for those, I would say probably for, I would say 9 months out of last year, I was doing great. And then I had a few stressful experiences happen in my life. And the the stress of that kind of affected my menopausal symptoms. So I think for me, after talking to Sharon. So it wasn't just you talk about the food and you go and see her after the program. You can then go and continue to see your coach for ongoing support. So as part of that process, then she encouraged me to get the full bloods done, so I could see what was happening in my body, and if there was anything apparent. So the full blood test is really fantastic. I mean, it gives you, for me, I'm not a medical person. I don't know what um, each part, when you get your bloods done at a doctor, at a GP, they just kind of rattle off a couple of numbers and figures and kind of go, oh, your cholesterol's high. And that's pretty much what they do. They end up telling you. But they never explain what each line means or what each part of that means. And you think if they'd spend a bit more time doing that, that would, you would learn so much more about your own body, and they would learn more about, how to help you. But with with this blood test, you get a really thorough report that goes through line by line, explains your markers against everything. And I just found that I had a vitamin D deficiency and I needed more magnesium. So with those two things, I was able to get the right prescription from Sharon. She was able to prescribe that for me. And then I was feeling so much better in a very short period of time. But just acknowledging that the stress is part of that.
Did the stress stop you following your plan as closely, just out of interest?
Maybe a little bit. Maybe I was, I think I tried to stay to it to a degree, but maybe I was getting a little bit more flexible around, oh, actually, I'll have meat a couple of times a week rather than just on that particular day, or I'll try. But as soon as I go straight back into the actual days of it, I realize that actually there is a method to why you're having those foods on a certain day, because the way that I interpret it is that it's giving you 100% of your nutrition that you need in your body without any other supplements. And this is one of the things that intrigued me about the program in the first place. Is we were trying like we tried like natural oyster supplements. And me and my husband were spending money on buying all these different types of supplements and thinking, oh, we needed that to help in certain areas. We were like, oh, well, let's eat more offal, because we were trying to like look at different parts of our diet. But then after talking to Sharon and learning about the program in the first instance, it was really about, well, you don't need all of those supplements. It's actually your food is providing you with 100% of what you need um, every day. So I think when you do start messing around with it a little bit, then that can impact. But I think that at the time of a high stress period in your life, I think.
Oh, and undoubtedly, yeah. I mean, I think it's really normal. That's what happens is with people, we, looking after yourself is always I refer to it a bit like you should be your favorite hobby, as in we really want to be touching in and doing this every day, and the self-care is vital. And we just, I love the fact what you shared about, making sure your water comes in at the beginning of the day, because that sets you, that's so true. And I do exactly the same. I get my water in, at least a liter in nice and early, and then it really sets me up for the whole day, that kind of thing. But it is true that in our society, that sort of anything that's a bit stressful means that we often push down what we really need to do almost to the bottom of the to-do list, which is the opposite of really where it should be. It should be, when we're busy, we should be looking after ourselves even more carefully so that we can actually rise to the challenges of the stress that's now coming at us, kind of thing. That's actually what should happen, and that we don't then fall over and collapse in a heap of pain or something like that.
No, it's very, very true. And I think one of those things I think that resonates for me is recognizing that. And I think sometimes you don't always recognize how important it is to keep on track during those times, is unless somebody tells you, or you've experienced what it is like without it, and then you experience the high stress times whilst you're doing that.
Yeah. And that's the power of also working with a coach, isn't it? Because you've mentioned that as well a little bit, that you've done all of this in the past. You've done your own research. You ordered your supplements online. You've tried some new stuff. This is what people do. They do it all by themselves. But then actually having a professional who really knows what they're talking about to actually sit down, and you have somebody you can properly chat with and say, this is how I'm feeling. And then you can track those symptoms like you said, and you can actually go, okay, yeah, I get this. I get why this is the case. And I get why I should persevere with that. And I get why, okay, I can relax that little area out because that's okay for me. Because it becomes your norm, doesn't it? This is the normal way of looking after yourself.
Yeah, of course. And I'm if I'm writing the grocery list for the whole week, it's like I've already mapped out exactly what I've got in the freezer or the fridge for my meals and it just makes it so much easier for meal prepping and things like that. But just going back to having the coach and realizing I was going through a high stress level at the end of the year, perhaps my hormones were changing slightly, again, going through another different phase. But then knowing that it's okay, your body does go through stressful times and there is support there. I was able to get some vitamin D. I was able to get some magnesium to be able to help me through. But then recognizing that, okay, I'm going to start the beginning of this year and I'm going to go very strict again with it. And again, eliminates everything all again. So I think some people go through a little bit of a cycle. I try and keep on top of it, but I think we're human and we shouldn't stop ourselves from uh, having certain things. But, at the end of the day, if you can build a way in which you can maintain that and experience the world and go on holiday and eat the food in Sri Lanka, eat the food in different parts of the world, but feel that you can come back and you can still maintain that health. And, you know, I think it's just having those rules. I think makes it easier because then you don't have to think about what you're doing as well. But again, the water intake at the beginning of the day is the key for me. If I feel like I haven't had that, I might struggle. And winter time is difficult because you kind of want more hot things. But
do you like hot water? This is what I mean. This is hot water in here. I just have lovely hot water, and I love holding a hot mug. So this is a hot mug, and I love holding my hot mug.
I'm exactly the same. Like people must think we're like on doing the alone challenge or something like that by just drinking hot water. But it is actually
I love hot water.
it is the best. And I start my day every day with a cup of hot water. My husband brings he gets his cup of herbal tea and I get a cup of hot water. So I find it very, very soothing. And yeah, it's just I just feel like having that is just sets you up for the day. Knowing what you're going to have for the day is takes a lot of stress out of it as well, and knowing how easy it is to prepare.
So do you feel, which I do hope the answer to this is yes, I have to be honest, but do you feel that you've kind of just found now this really nice way of managing your eating and your health nicely for the future? Because I think one of the things that I often, it makes me a bit sad in many ways that people, it makes me very sad actually, that people are constantly trying certain diets or trying certain fads or trying certain things that doesn't really work. They are constantly feeling those that, a bit rubbish, and they have the pain, and they don't they the hot flushes, all this kind of stuff, and they have the ongoing health issues, and it seems to take up an awful lot of their own mind and bandwidth, so it stops them enjoying life. Whereas actually, when you just know this nice, gentle pattern of what you need to do, you can then follow your own passions, the real passions in life, that you don't have to be worrying about your health.
Yeah, you can just like look at other things in your life that's outside of that. So looking at your career, learning something new, putting your energies into something else. And for me to be able to manage something like this, and I wouldn't even say manage it, but to
Are you talking about the arthritis here for you to be able to, yeah.
yeah. So like I don't really have the symptoms anymore. So for me, that's fantastic. And I feel younger than 52. So I feel like I'm getting, the, you feel like a bit more vibrant than it used to be because you don't have to worry about, all these other things that you were talking about, like with your diet and trying different things all the time, because you know what you can rely on this to work, so you can then concentrate on different parts of your life. Like look at where you can go next on holiday or upskill yourself in a new topic or something like that. And I feel that there's a lot of people that aren't very well in the world. Personally, I feel like people, if I'm at work and I'm on a Teams call or something with the rest of the people that I work in, there's a lot of sickness and people are constantly off with colds and flu and feeling run down or, the lack of motivation and that kind of thing. I'm 52. Like some of these people are like in their 20s and like I'm never ill. I never take time off work. I can't even remember the last time I even had a cold or a flu, and I'm just as bright and sprightly with at 3 in the afternoon and bashing workout and being creative with what I do as well. So for me, that's a real plus. But being able to know, "Oh, okay, so I've got eggs for lunch today. Okay, I'm just gonna whip up a mushroom omelette. That's easy. I like that's not difficult. Or I could just boil some eggs. Or knowing tonight that I've got my cheese night. So what I can do now is I have goat's cheese on one of my evenings, and now I know that if I want to treat myself, I can go and get a nice organic goat's camembert for a nice treat, or I could go to Aldi and buy some a cheaper version goat's cheese there. So you can go to the different lengths to feel like you're treating yourself. And I just feel like my whole eating is like having a picnic. I just feel like I can have, I tend to do my meals a bit like a picnic as well. So I have a little bit of everything. So when it comes to, like having my vegetables and my salad, then I've got like 2 olives and I've got some sauerkraut and I've got some lettuce and spinach and then I've got a little bit of carrot.
The variety, you've always kept the variety and the.
Yes, keeping the variety.
And that's so important, isn't it? It's so important because it's just fun. It sounds to me like you're actually just having a lot of fun, which is fantastic. Because, yeah, like you don't want to feel. I'm 51, so a tiny bit younger than you, but you don't want to feel old before your time. I mean, God, that's boring, isn't it? God.
Yeah, exactly. And we've still got so much to learn and so much to do. Yeah.
So much to do. Exactly. So much to experience and places to visit. And yeah, you want to be awake and alert, and all you want to do is just know how to fuel your body to get you from A to B all the time without any hassle, and not obsess, not have it to be like your identity that this is your illness. Because I think that's also, you know, your identity now is a vibrant, healthy 52-year-old woman who has got plenty to do in this world, but it's nothing to do with any kind of diagnosis you may have had in the past of, say, the arthritis, for example, or the menopause symptoms. That's not your identity.
Yeah, I'm not a menopausal 52-year-old. I'm a woman who is working through those things, but I've managed to still feel myself, still feel vibrant, still smile, still get up every day, and yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So what would you say to a 52-year-old menopausal woman who might have lots of aches and pains and really not feel great right now?
I think have a look at the website, find a coach that's in your area. Um, have a look on the YouTube and listen to people who've experienced going through the program, and know that it's actually a really well supported program with lots of people who've been through it. So there's lots of research around that, but also know that it's your journey as well, and that's really respected. And that the coaches are there to get to know you. They're very open. They'll listen to everything. It's just the way that they will listen to what's happening in your life, and will support you through that. And I think just find out a little bit more about it. Have a look at the videos, and then think about how much you invest in, because it's a very small investment, I feel, in making such a big impact in your life. So if you think about people that would go and go to the health shop, for example, not saying that health shops are bad at all, because they have some good products in them, but only if you're using them with the best advice possible. But if, for example, if someone's going there and they're buying supplements, or they're getting supplements online, you think about how much you're spending each month on those kind of things. You think about people that are having protein bars or shakes, or all these types of diet kind of things, so expensive, and then they may be working out in the gym like constantly and all those kind of things. Yeah,
But not really getting much result from it. Actually, the actual results you get from that is actually often really quite minimal.
yeah. And I think with the metabolic balance, you're talking about your metabolism, and you're talking about your body and how it reacts to certain things. So, um, and you're always being kept up to date with the latest research. So, like Sharon, who's my coach, is, I last saw her like 3 or 4 months ago, and she was like, I found out this great research. It's just recent. It's actually all about what you eat first. When obviously you eat a couple of mouthfuls of your protein, but then she's saying, actually eat a third of your protein to start with, then eat all your vegetables, and then finish off with your protein.
So she's gone a little bit further.
Yeah, so she's like, it would be great if you could trial this to see if it happens, because it seems to be like that's having a big impact with other people. So I know that I take her support very seriously because she knows her stuff. She's so qualified at what she does. She explains everything. So as soon as there's a supplement, or say, for example, I was vitamin D deficient, so she would open up textbooks and then show me diagrams about how we absorb vitamin D and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, but in a way that I can digest the information. So it's not too much. And she's very good at like drawing a diagram of this is how this works, you know. So I don't need to know everything about the science, but it's good to know. I like to know the big picture. I like to know the reasons what I'm doing, why it's working, and so I can continue with that.
Yeah, and you've clearly enjoying the actual results in your day-to-day life now.
Oh, definitely, and it's something that I can certainly take forward, and I really just want to continue along this path. So it's not something that I'm thinking, okay, that stopped. Because I did lose like 9 kilos as part of the process. And all I do is fluctuate 1 or 2 kilos over the last year and a quarter. So and going through menopause and just seeing that happen as well.
Mm. So that's a genuine weight release, which is really what we want. It's not about losing weight, because losing weight means you might want to find it again. We don't want to find it again. You want to release it because it's healthy to release, and then enjoy that maintenance, which you clearly have for the past 16 months, really, isn't it now? Yeah, 16 months. Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Suzie. It's been a pleasure to chat to you today, and I really do thank you for sharing your story, because I think it's given people a really good insight into kind of the simplicity of it, actually. The simplicity, and the importance that knowing what you need to do for you is what really the answer is, not just general stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity for me to share my story as well. I've really enjoyed it, and I really hope that more people after watching this might think, oh, that might be a good thing to look into if I'm having like hot flushes, or I'm feeling like I'm carrying a little bit of extra weight around the tummy area, or I'm just waking up and not feeling myself anymore. And you know, if they could just try it, that they would I'm sure they would reap the benefits as well.
Amazing. Thank you, Suzie. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. And if you would like to hear more about metabolic balance, or find more information about finding your practitioner in your area, do check out the metabolicbalance.com website, and you can see the Find Your Practitioner page there. And there's also obviously more details in the show notes too, I should also probably add. So we'll finish there for today, and do join me again, and we'll have more stories for Metabolic Balance. Thank you.